So hey anime fans, the series name is What If Naruto Got Harem with Anko, Kurenai. So let's start the series. A light-haired kid wearing a blue shirt and orange shorts was concealing in the shadows, taking additional consideration to conceal himself from the grown-ups searching for him as a result of his most recent endeavor, giving the Hokage landmark a total makeover complete with makeup and another hairstyling that really transformed them into queers. Simply an ordinary day for one Uzumaki Naruto. He looked out from his concealing spot and noticed that the varying shinobis pursuing him were at this point not nearby. A fox-like smile advanced toward his face prior to vanishing with an uproarious pop. A solitary shinobi lingering behind the pursuit heard the sound and chose to explore. He tracked down nothing in obscurity dim backstreet with the exception of a forlorn dark feline dozing on top of an old dumpster. Line break. Naruto showed up in his front room with a noisy pop prior to delivering a murmur of alleviation. Choosing to get a nibble to quiet his nerves, he continued to the kitchen, took out some moment ramen, and filled it with boiling water from a canteen. He offered it of real value and plunked down to trust that the safeguarded noodles will be cooked flawlessly. That was a decent trick you pulled, unit. You ought to have seen the essences of those pursuing you when they saw their darling Hokages wearing makeup and another hairstyling. A voice inside his head expressed, followed by a noisy woofing snicker which made Naruto smile. Accepted. Moreover, those old geezers needs another look at any rate, particularly Hokage Gigi, he intellectually answered haughtily to the voice as he served himself a portion of the flavorful piece in a cup. At any rate, you're really improving with that vanishing stun of yours. Have you explored different avenues regarding it? The voice asked, inquisitive. Naruto shook his head while slurping a portion of the hot ramen. No, not yet, since it worked out. I just rehearsed the vanishing stunt. He addressed the voice while slurping the leftover stock from the cup. He heard a moan from the voice in his mind. How frequently do I need to tell you? It's called instant transportation, the voice rectified him in an exasperated voice. Naruto just feigned exacerbation since they'd been discussing the method's name for a month at this point. Definitely, no doubt. Kyubi, fine, transportation it is from here onward, and getting straight to the point. No, I haven't probed something besides instant transportation, addressed Naruto in an irritated voice. Individuals of Konohagakure no Sato would have been stunned assuming that they figured out that Naruto was having a discussion with his occupant, the Kyubi no Kitsune. It was an oddity mishap that made him drop in an abandoned backstreet in the wake of taking off from a group of ANBUs subsequent to playing a trick on the Hyuga faction. Painting their clothing dazzling orange without them being familiar with it around midnight was truly a blow on the tribe that valued their omniscient eyes. Obviously, everybody realized that he did it since he was a notable comedian in the town, and the orange was obvious since it was his #1 variety, so he didn't even try to deny the allegations, he just ran. He met Kyubi in his mindscape in the wake of passing out when he hit his head on a block facade. When he confounded his leap, he learned about his fuzzy occupant who clarified for him how he was fixed inside him by the Yandame Hokage and how the seal will prevent him from getting away. It took a really long time to make sense of everything since the kid was flying off the handle about him being inside his stomach, so to talk, which was the motivation behind why the locals was dealing with him like trash. Toward the end, both had the option to figure out an agreement with one another. Naruto will give Kyubi admittance to the rest of the world through his detects, and consequently, Kyubi will direct the kid on his objective to turn into a strong shinobi. However, he cautioned the kid in advance that his method was very not the same as the standard shinobi charge, since his capacities are for the most part in chakra control and he just knew about a couple shinobi strategies he could show him. Naruto just waved him off and acknowledged the assistance. He found his transportation capacity coincidentally when a crowd cornered him in a rear entryway in the wake of being found of pulling a trick on one of the shippers' shop in the town. Truly, nothing bad can really be said about painting the whole shop pink. It was a decent variety, brilliant and cheerful, yet it appears to be that the proprietor of the shop could have done without it, or he was a secret pink critic. Subsequent to being encircled by a crowd conveying a wide range of sharp carries out to hit him with, he vanished with a noisy pop when he was overwhelmed with dread. Wishing to be in a protected spot away from them, he showed up on top of the Hokage landmark in a load, not knowing how he arrived. Naruto and Kyubi conceptualized about what occurred, concocting various speculations on how the kid transported away from the horde. Naruto let him know that he was simply great that way, while the fox looked profound into the kid's hereditary qualities to concoct a conceivable clarification of the peculiarity. It took some time, yet Kyuubi had the option to figure out that the seal and his presence in Naruto changed his hereditary qualities to deliver chakra into something more exceptional and strong. It is as yet unchanged chakra that the shinobi populace utilizes for their strategies. However, it had an additional fixing to it that permitted Naruto to magically transport, and assuming that Kyuubi was correct, which the fox said that he typically is, Naruto would be equipped for different accomplishments on the off chance that he required some investment to explore a little. It required 7 days of training to get instant transportation down to a workmanship by vanishing and returning any place in his condo, attempt as he may. He was unable to dispose of the sound, however, yet take it or leave it. Pack, in the event that you could tackle this capacity of yours, it would make you a strong shinobi one day. As a matter of fact, on the off chance that you can vanish starting with one spot then onto the next with next to no limitations, you can do anything assuming you put your brain into it. Assuming that I recall accurately, you were in the middle of wishing to be someplace safe when you got cornered by that horde after your trick. Your one-of-a-kind chakra helped you out by magically transporting you to the Hokage landmark. You can do different things assuming you put your psyche into it. Made sense of Kyuubi in the most persuading voice he could marshal. He didn't maintain that the kid should squander anything that ability he has in his framework. So what you really do figure I ought to do first, Q, pondered Naruto, a piece energized on the prospect of turning into a strong shinobi with his one-of-a-kind capacity, as the fox called it. Well, not a lot. As far as I can see, you willed yourself to go to a protected spot which unintentionally was the Hokage landmark, since you hang out there a ton. In the event that you can bridle your will appropriately, then you could possibly do different things, yet for the present, there may be something in the Konoha library that could be useful to you. Get everything rolling, so you should raise a ruckus around town first. What? Absolutely not a chance. I won't peruse. It's so boring, he whimpered in his most adolescent voice, yet it didn't require a lot of exertion since he was as yet 6 years of age. Furthermore, dislike I'm wanted there in any case. I took a stab at going there once since Gigi recommended that I read something before I start the foundation. However, the old geezer in the library wouldn't give me access. Kyuubi quietly reviled at the idiocy of people. These people were living in a shinobi town, so they ought to realize something about seals or get some information about it. However, no, they decided to overlook that since it would be simpler to fault the kid in view of his presence inside him. He livened up a piece when a thought hit him. How about you camouflage yourself, unit? Mask myself? How? I don't actually have the means to purchase a respectable camouflage, he griped, contemplating the cash the Hokage gave him as a type of recompense that is given to vagrants who decided to reside without help from anyone else. He scarcely had to the point of purchasing stuff he really wants, since the shops in the town cheat him. The main spot he could eat in harmony at the right cost was at Ichiraku Ramen, where the Hokage treats him when he's not occupied with his work. That is where I come in. I can show you how to get to your chakra, then I'll educate you how to do the Henge no Jutsu change method, so you can go into the library whenever you need. Moreover, the old geezer watching the library isn't a shinobi, so you don't need to stress over him dissipating your camouflage. Amped up for the possibility of learning his absolute first ninja strategy, he promptly concurred and vanished with a boisterous pop to the woodland behind the Hokage landmark so he can rehearse in harmony. It required a month for Naruto to get to his chakra, which was trailed by Kyuubi quickly showing him the Henge no Jutsu. The fox originally showed him how to settle down and find the chakra source in his body. It took a long time for him to track down it, yet he was stunned when he did. He had so much chakra in his body that even Kyuubi was flabbergasted. His occupant informed him that his chakra holds was multiple times bigger than your typical genin, which took Naruto leap around in energy, yelling that he would have been strong later on. Kyuubi promptly shot him somewhere around, letting him know that having so much chakra was great, yet his control would be shot as a result of it. This caused a drawn-out banter between the two among control and power. Obviously, Kyuubi won with his sensible clarification that effectively bested Naruto's protection. After the discussion, which Naruto lost, Kyuubi trained him the different moves toward control his huge chakra saves prior to doing any jutsus. Obviously, Naruto whimpered the entire way yet quickly shut his snare when Kyuubi undermined him that he won't show the kid any methods in the event that he had zero power over his chakra. It took the remainder of the month to apply a base command over his huge stores. Naruto began with the fundamental leaf staying exercise which took him 7 days to dominate, which would regularly take a foundation understudy a little while to achieve. One more week was centered around tree strolling, which Naruto was very eager to do. For Naruto, strolling on walls and trees was astounding to him. Kyuubi accepted this since he figured out it interesting each opportunity his holder was launched a tree like a rocket when he utilized a lot of chakra during the activity. Naruto passed on his kondo, prepared to begin his most memorable mission, invading the Konoha library. He previously dominated the Henge no Jutsu, which was excessively simple for him, much to the shock of the fox. Once more, Naruto told his inhabitant that he was magnificent that way. However, the fox destroyed his developing inner self by letting him know that it was a result of him that he had the option to dominate the jutsu effectively. All things considered, foxes were regular shapeshifters, so the characteristic unquestionable requirement gave to Naruto after the fixing. Naruto protested about that, making Kyuubi give him a pompous look that said a lot. Naruto dodged into a rear entryway behind the Konoha library and put on his camouflage. He emerged with a dark chaotic haircut, his eyes were a light shade of green, practically jade. His brand name stubbles were gone since it would quickly caution individuals that it was him wearing another look. He likewise changed his facial construction to a more precise look instead of his unique adjusted face. He changed nothing else since it wasn't required, so his garments and fabricate remained something similar. He apprehensively entered the library expecting the old geezer who monitored the spot to throw him out, causing him a deep sense of shock. The man essentially gave him a grin while saying that it was perfect for youngsters to begin perusing at an early age, subsequent to telling the hidden Naruto to come to him assuming he wanted any assistance. He guided him inside while advising him to have a great time. Naruto and Kyuubi were internally giggling at how they had the option to trick the old fossil. Naruto wound up in an exceptionally enormous room loaded up with shelves packed to the edge with parchments and books. He realized that the Konoha library was separated into two sections, the regular citizens segment where he was currently in, the shinobi area that was in the second floor of the structure. Anybody can get to the regular citizens segment, however you really want to have the leaf headband before you go to the more educational shinobi area, which contained controlled data that can be excessively perilous for the people who have no preparation for it. Naruto likewise realized that delicate data was stowed away inside in a very much monitored room inside the Hokage pinnacle, close protected the ANBU non-stop. Notwithstanding his arrangements to strike the shinobi parchments and books, his arrangements were in vain since there was a Chunin standing gatekeeper by the steps. He reviled his karma, however chose to proceed with the arrangement. For the present, he didn't have the foggiest idea where to begin, so he chose to counsel the cerebrums of the mission. So what, how about I look first, Q? Naruto asked his occupant while looking at the marks on the racks. He was in the set of experience as part of the library where the racks were filled to the edge with extremely old-looking parchments and books. Well, I'm not quite certain. This made Naruto palm his face hard. Hello, it's my most memorable time in the library, so I don't know precisely exact thing we're searching for. In any case, the best spot to begin is to find any data on bloodline restricts. We want to find a bloodline that is like yours if at any point there is one. Fine, I think those books are in the following column. Let me look at it, expressed Naruto while protesting about irritating smarty pants foxes. He left the ongoing line and strolled to the following one. Looking at the titles on the racks as he strolled, he halted when he found a book named Bloodline Vocabulary of the Essential Nations. This seems to be a decent one to begin with. What is your take? He asked his inhabitant while opening the book to see that different the various bloodlines were arranged by the town they were developed. He felt Kyuubi perusing alongside him. That's right, begin perusing, the fox requested. Naruto feigned exacerbation, however did as trained. After 2 hours, Naruto's eyes were watering while Kyuubi was yelling in his mind that this was taking excessively lengthy. Stop, Pack. We aren't getting any place with this. On the off chance that we keep this speed, then we will not have the option to explore different avenues regarding your capacities until you have silver hairs. I have an arrangement, so I believe you should return to our clearing in the woods. I will show you something we can use to finish our examination quicker. Not having any desire to contend with a furious fox, Naruto put the book back on its rack and vanished with a noisy pop back to the woodland clearing where he rehearsed with his chakra. "So what is it that you need to show me?" Naruto asked enthusiastically. Kyuubi feigned exacerbation at his compartment's infantile jokes. "I saw back there that perusing each book in turn was taking excessively lengthy, so we want fortifications. I know one method that we can use to accelerate the cycle. It is known as the Kagebunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Strategy. I believe it's delegated a Kenjutsu here in Konoha. My most memorable compartment utilized it a ton in those days, so I realize how it's finished." "What's so novel about this jutsu?" "I mean, it's simply a clone, right?" asked Naruto, befuddled at how a clone strategy could manage their examination. "It isn't your standard clone unit. It's delegated a taboo procedure for an explanation. As far as one might be concerned, it requires a poo heap of chakra to utilize, yet you previously got that covered with your ongoing stores and with me inside you. Then, at that point, nothing remains to be stressed over. Next, when scattered, the recollections and experience of the clones will be sent back to the first, so you will realize what they realize and feel what they feel. It is likewise a definitive preparation jutsu that main those with sufficiently high chakra stores can use. We can penetrate the library around evening time utilizing your instant transportation, since we really want to get to the shinobi library rather than the regular citizen one, make a ton of clones and have them perused various books. I'll figure out the recollections myself to try not to harm your cerebrum and update you as often as possible on the off chance that I find data that is connected with your capacities." Intrigued? "Damnation, no doubt. We should begin." Kyuubi showed him the hand seal for the strategy and taught him on how much chakra to use for it. It took him 2 hours to make it happen. It took him a long time since Kyuubi entrusted him to explore different avenues regarding the chakra use to ensure that the clones were sufficiently fueled to try not to get scattered before their errand is finished. Toward the finish of the training meeting, Naruto had the option to make 100 clones easily that could keep going for 4 hours without scattering. Kyuubi educated him to rest for the present since he spent a considerable amount of his stores rehearsing the jutsu. Kyuubi left it out that Naruto could utilize his chakra for the strategy, however didn't have any desire to caution the specialists watching the town since his chakra was intense to the point that even regular folks can feel it. Naruto, who was at that point tired on his feet, didn't contend with the fox, so he essentially magically transported to his condo, bounced onto his bed and promptly fell asleep. Naruto was awakened around 12 p.m. by Kyuubi, who was very eager to get their invasion mission on the way. Subsequent to eating 5 cups of moment ramen, Naruto put on something else to more obscure varieties, dark shirt and blue jeans, to ensure that he can promptly stow away as the situation played out. Once finished, he pictured the inside of the library and willed himself to the area he retained prior, behind a huge shelf that is far away from the sound of his appearance. He disappeared from his apartment with a loud pop. Naruto hunched down to stow away when he showed up in the library, realizing that his instant transportation could caution anything monitors was nearby. As expected, Kyuubi assumed control over just a little after the kid gave him his consent and did a compass of the back street and some distance around it. He gave Naruto the all unmistakable when he got a handle on nothing of the conventional. They have the library all to themselves for the evening. "Alright, Pack. Nobody's nearby, so make 100 of your clones as we rehearsed before, then advise them to peruse various books for our examination. Presently get on it," requested Kyuubi. Naruto feigned exacerbation at how inept the request sounded. "Truly, get on it. I'm not a hare, you know," Naruto deadpanned. He swore that he felt the Kyuubi become flushed. "Quiet down, you're excessively youthful to gripe, Pack. I'm more full-grown than you." Kyuubi protected himself. This made Naruto smile. "Sure, certain, yet you're correct. You're the more full-grown one among us. As a matter of fact, you're more seasoned than soil," expressed Naruto with a smile. This brought about the fox yelling about kids regarding their seniors, which made Naruto hold his head in torment. "Fine, shut up will you, so we can get everything rolling." The kid spat, which made his inhabitant shut up. After a murmured conciliatory sentiment from his occupant, Naruto gathered 100 clones and educated them to look at books that could hold a few responses or hints to his capacities. He taught 10 clones to look at the regular citizen side of the library while he and rest go up to the shinobi segment. The clones saluted and dispersed to do as trained. Naruto picked a book from the racks named Chakra for Fakers prior to plunking down on the floor and began to add well to the evening. Naruto magically transported back to his condo an hour prior to the library opens to the public brandishing a cerebral pain. He and Kyuubi saw as nothing connected with his capacities except for he could now boast when he goes to the Shinobi Foundation that he has learned about the historical backdrop of the essential country, the different bloodline cutoff points, shinobi folklores, chakra speculations, for certain traditional works tossed in. He never figured out why a portion of his clones were perusing romantic tales. He stooped over to his exposed kitchen and topped off a pot with water, then put it on top of the oven to bubble. His stomach was requesting food since perusing took a ton of energy in spite of being a task done plunking down. That was a futile evening, whined Naruto while needing his hurting sanctuary. He never needed to hold another book if there's anything he can do about it, yet he realized that his measly wish was impractical. Quit whining, Pack. There are a great many books and looks in the library. You can't anticipate finding something about your capacities short term. We will rehash this evening, so you should recharge since we will begin early so we have additional opportunity to look at the materials there, expressed Kyuubi in a grave voice. He was likewise despondent at their absence of discoveries, yet he knew that there was still far to go to find what they required about his holder's capacities. Fine, you're correct. However, basically we received something in return, Naruto protested, yet a little grin advanced toward his face. Perusing can very fun, particularly when you track down something that intrigues you, recalling being fascinated in his book about various chakras and its purposes in the shinobi field. Valid. You need to acknowledge, unit, that being a ninja doesn't generally rise to garish jutsus, obscuring speeds, and strong punches. Ninjas need information. All things considered, muscles without a cerebrum to direct them are pointless, so in spite of the way that we got nothing about your capacities, you're as yet getting the hang of something connected with being a shinobi of the leaf, made sense of Kyuubi in his savvy-like voice. Naruto gestured while a smart look crossed his face. That's right, I was thinking, rather than simply zeroing in on exploring about my capacities, what you say regarding beginning my preparation early. I can look at some taijutsu moves and other shinobi-related materials so I can prepare in them. We can switch back and forth among preparing research since I actually have 2 years before I go to class. He considered while emptying the bubbling water into 4 cups of ramen. He got an energized gesture from his occupant. That is smart, Pack. We'll begin 1 week from now since it's as of now Wednesday. I believe you should do explore until Saturday. Lay on Sunday, then we can begin shifting back and forth among preparing and research 1 week from now. How does that sound? Asked Kyuubi with gentle interest, previously concocting a preparation plan for his holder. All things considered, having his compartment become more grounded is just right since he is the most grounded of the followed monsters. Gotcha. Presently let me eat in harmony so I can hit the hay. We have a drawn-out night this evening, expressed Naruto as he breathed in the ramen as quick as possible since bed sounds generally excellent at this moment. Equals time skip. 1 year, Naruto age, 7 equals. It's been a year since Naruto began penetrating Konoha Library and is turning into an evening occupant of the spot. He had a go at picking up all that he could while exploring on his capacities. They got no strong realities out of their exploration, however. Kyuubi had the option to speculate that Naruto's capacities was the primary in the natural countries, which made his host energized. It was like a bloodline, yet they can't utter a word more since they coming up short on proof to back it up. During an extended time of perusing and examination, Naruto had the option to get 2 things done. 1. He had the option to get familiar with the specialty of contemplation since Kyuubi let him know that his capacities appears to mirror his psyche, utilizing the main occasion Naruto magically transported, for instance, to prepare Naruto for future trial and error. Kyuubi requested his compartment to search for books on reflection to assist him with utilizing his brain better. So while his clones were perusing and investigating, Naruto continued to think with Kyuubi directing him as far as possible. It took him 7 days before he had the option to control his muscles to the point of unwinding due to having an excessive amount of energy to wait. It was difficult work, yet he was unable to deny the advantages he got from it. First advantage he got from contemplation was center. He can now move his concentration on a case-by-case basis. His perception and jargon further developed that he at this point not expected to reread books just to comprehend it. He likewise found that he has visual memory, however Kyubi guaranteed him that it was ordinary since he can get to his mindscape because of the seal. He might hold a discussion with his clones while perusing without thinking twice. The second advantage he found out unintentionally, disclosure of his chakra framework. When he dove profound into his psyche or when he goes into a profound reflective state, he could detect the chakra in his body. Kyubi complimented him when he found his chakra network since such expertise was viewed as jounin to sannin level. With it, he had the option to accomplish better control of his chakra to the point that the water strolling exercise required just a day to dominate. This made Kyubi protest since he was anticipating Naruto embarrassing himself. 2. He had long last found his specialty as a ninja. He read a text about fixing and he was unable to tear his eyes from it. The primary text he read was Essential Seals for Fakers by the frog sage Jiraiya, not at all like different books he read, or those that his clones read. It appears to be that he could grasp the development and making of seals effortlessly, as though fixing was in his blood, which Kyubi brought up that it very well may be conceivable since he has a seal on his stomach. Naruto quickly whipped the hypothesis and gave the fox a look that handily said, "Would you say you're inept or something like that?" He had the option to use straightforward seals on his loft. First, he put a strength seal on his garments since he didn't believe that they should get destroyed in light of his preparation. He additionally attempted basic security seals on his condo, similar to a locking seal that requires his chakra to open the entryway and windows. He likewise added sturdiness seals on the walls so the horde that visited wouldn't have the option to overcome the locks on his entryway and windows. He was likewise ready to fruitful add a warming seal on the shower head, so he partook in a ton of hot showers in spite of the landowner switching it off to his distress. He likewise needed to give his hand a shot on detonating seals subsequent to perusing it in a book which is viewed as essential for Chunin level shinobis. However, Kyubi shot the thought down since he wasn't that far into his examinations and one wrong maneuver could destroy the two of them to smithereens. Fortunately, Naruto was sufficiently terrified to defer the thought for what's to come. He was likewise sufficiently fortunate to peruse a taijutsu instructional booklet by Madogai on the most proficient method to foster one's body and planning of turning into a shinobi. However, the title of the book passed on a ton to be wanted: Taijutsu for the Young. Stir up your blazes of youth to become solid. Kyubi remarked that the writer is either unusual or not all there mentally. Naruto gave the advantage of an uncertainty that it's the previous. In spite of its title, the book was straightforward and direct forthright. It clarified the essentials in fostering one's body for produce more speed and power for later use in taijutsu. Madogai likewise made sense of that the Konoha Foundation taijutsu style is a fundamental structure to begin kids in making their own style or following previous style through muscle memory. It is considered as an underpinning of leaf taijutsu and is sufficiently adaptable to be extended to different styles to fit the expert. The book likewise definite workout schedules using preparing loads sold in numerous shinobi stores in Konoha to further develop speed and strength. He promptly gave it a shot the following day. He utilized his number 1 camouflage to purchase a bunch of chakra loads for the 2 arms and legs. It chomped profound into his wallet, purging portion of his reserve funds, yet it was worth the effort since the weight can be changed through the utilization of chakra on the unique seals engraved on the metal. In the wake of purchasing the loads, he quickly dodged into a dull back street and magically transported to the clearing. He put them on his arms and legs, then diverted a smidgen of chakra into it. He was fortunate that his control was great, or, in all likelihood, he would kiss soil at this moment. His most memorable attempt made the loads go as much as 5 kilos every, which nearly detached his arms from its attachments. He managed down the chakra yield until he had the option to set the loads to 20 pounds every, which was the exhorted weight for novices. He began with no taijutsu styles except for he presented himself with on different activities and stretches, such as running laps, push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, and the preferences. His entire body was sore when he got back that evening, yet Kyubi guaranteed him that his body will be all around great tomorrow with him speeding up the recuperating system. Time skip, 1 year, Naruto age, 8, 2 months before beginning of Shinobi Institute equals. Naruto was in the library perusing a book on seals by Namikaze Minato. He was at that point got done with the initial 2 books on seals composed by Jiraiya of the Sannin and is currently perusing the following stage as suggested by the frog sage, the Namikaze summary on the fixing expressions. It was as of now that he found one more capacity of his special bloodline. He was occupied with perusing the main book of the Namake's abridgment until he reviled when he got to the part letting him know that he really wanted Jiraiya's book on gravity seals as reference since the drawing of the seal was excluded the Namake's set. Damn it, for what reason mightn't he at any point put the drawing of the seal in his book as opposed to referring to it on Jiraiya's book? He reviled boisterously. What was that pack? Asked Kyubi, who didn't be aware for what valid reason Naruto was reviling since he was occupied with figuring out the recollections from a portion of the dissipated clones. I need to search for one more of Jiraiya's fixing books in regards to an outline on gravity seals since the book I'm perusing doesn't have it on the page. I haven't seen that book and searching for it here is like searching for a needle in a huge pile, said Naruto, previously stepping to a segment of the library where he saw as the greater part of the books on seals. No utilization reviling about it currently, simply search for it, Kyubi said in an occupied tone, returning to the clone's recollections. Fine, protested Naruto as he looked at the racks containing the greater part of the books and looks on seals. Following an hour of looking, Naruto was raging since he truly needed to know how gravity seal functions since the book made sense of that it prepared the body by adding more protection from it instead of loads. He was quietly reviling while intellectually considering the title of the book. He looked the racks. He didn't see the book flying at him from one of the far racks until it hit him on the head, which made him fall on the floor in a shock. What in the world was that? Yelled Naruto as he rubbed the side of his head, which was currently donning a sizable bump. I don't have the foggiest idea, however there was a flood here in your chakra loops before you got hit. What hit you at any rate? Asked Kyubi while exploring Naruto's curls for anomalies as he subliminally sent a portion of his recuperating chakra to the knock on Naruto's head, successfully lessening the enlarging until it was only a memory. How could I be aware? I was simply looking at the racks for Jiraiya's book prior to something hit me, he protested. He stood up, however, not prior to seeing a book before him. It was right there, Jiraiya's book. What on earth is that book doing there? It wasn't there previously? He requested as he pointed at the book as though requesting it to make sense of its abrupt appearance. Don't have the foggiest idea, however it's there now, so for what reason are you grumbling? Expressed Kyubi in droning, yet he was energized at what occurred. However, he would have rather not shown it to Naruto to let his imagination run wild. Did it at any point seem obvious you that this is bizarre? He shared with his occupant while getting the book. No big surprise, his head felt excruciating. It was an exceptionally large book and every last bit of it is about gravity seals. I realize this book isn't in this rack or in this part, and from the manner in which it hit me, it ought to have come from some place around there. He glanced over to a gathering of his clones in a similar path as he was. Hello folks, did you toss this book at me? He yelled at the clones while waving expressed book before him. One of the clones shook his head prior to returning to his perusing. No chief, not even one of us did. We were in the middle of perusing, he said in an unengaged voice while the others with him just gestured their head, not taking their eyes up from their particular books. This made Naruto sweat drop. When on earth did his clones carry on like that, so zeroed in, so cold? This made Kyubi's ears liven up in interest. He pulled up the memory of Naruto looking at the racks for Jiraiya's book and focused on everything in it. From its vibes, his compartment was focusing on a specific book before the torment, so it should be. Pack, I maintain that you should have a go at something for me, Kyubi asked with a great deal of fervor in his voice. What is it, Q? He asked intellectually, befuddled why his occupant was energized out of nowhere. See that book that your clone is perusing? Naruto gestured. Great, I believe you should zero in on it and call it to you. This made Naruto give the fox a look that said a lot. Are you smoking something in there? Deadpan Naruto. In the event that you are, I propose you dispose of it. This got him a snarl from his occupant. Quiet down and take care of business. I really want to demonstrate something before we can continue on. Fine, shut up so I can think, moronic fox, protested Naruto. He focused on the book his clone was perusing and called it to him. Following 5 minutes of concentrating, he attempted another strategy. He saw the book title and zeroed in once more. This time, the book got out of the clone's hands to the floor. The clone viewed at that book as though it was something different. This stunned both Naruto and Kyubi. He attempted once more, this time putting all his focus on the errand. He envisioned the book, title and all, flying towards him. He felt a flood in his chakra, then the book flew from the floor where the clone was going to recover it towards him, fortunately getting the scholarly shot before it could hit him. What on earth was that? Yelled Naruto, grabbing the eye of the relative multitude of clones in the library. Hello, Chief, I'm not finished with that yet, cried the clone that missed snatching the book when it flew towards its maker, while the rest was then again taking a gander at expressed book in Naruto's grasp and the crying clone. Quiet down, rather than stressing over that book. You ought to be concerned the way in which I got it in any case, yelled Naruto in a voice blended in with stunningness and fervor. Kyuubi, any thought what occurred? I do. It appears we have found a key to your capacities unit. Key? What do you mean? Asked Naruto. I at last sorted out how your capacities work, Pack. While you were concentrating, I was in the middle of zeroing in on your capacities. It appears to be that your bloodline responds with concentration, expectation, and perception tossed in just in case. You zeroed in on the book to come at you, yet it didn't. Then, at that point, you attempted it once more utilizing the title of the book. Actually didn't work, yet it got you a few outcomes. Yet when you pictured the book coming to you, it did. It is like the way in which you magically transported. Interestingly, you were pondering the Hokage landmark around then, and you subliminally diverted your chakra, making you magically transport yourself there. You normally consider the spot and will yourself there, your chakra consequently following what you believe that it should do. Made sense of Kyuubi. Once more, what's the significance here? What improvement is it when you say I willed it to work out? Asked an exasperated Naruto. Kyuubi feigned exacerbation at how thick his holder could be in spite of his expansion and information. Basic, your capacities require 3 things to make it work. You really want to zero in on what you need to occur, then you imagine what you need to occur, then, at that point, in conclusion, will your chakra to allow it to work out, attempt it so we can demonstrate that hypothesis. Kyuubi made sense of as calmly as he could since he needed to begin the trial and error. Eager to give it a shot, Naruto searched for something he could probe. He saw a book on genjutsu that he disposed of before and zeroed in on it. He imagined the book drifting on top of the work area while centering his chakra towards the book. His heart began pounding in his chest when the book drifted 2 feet of the work area, yet it wobbled and returned to the table when he lost his focus. Wow, Q, it worked, said Naruto energetically while attempting it once more, zeroing in on the book, which took itself off the work area again to the shock of his clones. Wow, Chief, how on earth did you do that? One clone yelled. Come on, Chief, show us, another clone requested. The library was unexpectedly buzzing with the hints of Naruto clones requesting their maker how he did it, until it irritated Naruto such a lot of that he dissipated every one of them, which made him experience the ill effects of a slight headache because of the abrupt inundation of recollections. Alright, that sucks. Mental note, don't dissipate that much clones on the double. Oof, what on God's green earth? One of my clones read some pornography in here, he said while kneading his head as a result of the aggravation, and reviled when a line from a book containing filth entered his memory. Indeed, you were getting a cerebral pain from their yelling, so it's worth the effort, expressed Kyuubi in entertainment. However, he was keen on the memory from the clone who was perusing the grown-up material. Quiet down, Q. So what do we do now? Requested Naruto while plunking down in one from the seats to dispose of the pulsating inside his head. You have 2 choices, Pack. You keep perusing and rehearsing your newly discovered expertise, or you can return to your condo and rest. From its vibes, the capacity you just showed took a great deal of chakra to perform, same with how you're magically transported. Interestingly, I assume I know how your capacity functions, so I'll concoct a preparation program for you. I propose you return home, recharge, then we can begin tomorrow. Alright, Q, that is really smart, expressed Naruto prior to magically transporting straightforwardly to his bed in his loft to rest. The 2 months prior to going to the institute was spent preparation his newly discovered expertise. He actually designated 12 clones to go to the library to do explore, since he didn't have the foggiest idea about the full degree of his capacities at this point. He was stunned that evening when his clones vanished with a pop, since he didn't believe that his clones have a similar capacity he had. Kyuubi conjectured that since shadow clones were in fact his definite copies, so it is simply probably the case that they have similar capacities as the first, given that they have enough chakra to pull it off. This accelerated the preparation program that Kyuubi made for Naruto with the assistance of his clones. Ordinarily, for the following 2 months, Naruto and his clones were in the clearing suspending different articles around to keep practically speaking. Kyuubi let him know that it is like supernatural power which they read in one of the books in the library. The fox let Naruto practice it to the point that he can suspend any articles subliminally in keeping up with it as well as causing it to do things he believed it should do. Naruto had a great time letting rocks of every kind imaginable float around him. He even went with the end result of playing Get with his clones utilizing just supernatural power, which was very fun aside from the obliteration it caused to the encompassing. Kyuubi likewise let Naruto know that his capacities are restricted by his creative mind when Naruto coincidentally made a bed which was a careful copy of his uneven bed back in the loft when he needed to take a rest from preparing. This started a correction in the preparation program, so a portion of the clones were designated to make irregular articles from nothing. One of the clones attempted an alternate strategy and changed an item into another, from a stone to a seat, which said clone utilized with a priggish look all over until one of the clones switched the change that made the clone hit the ground making it scatter. After the 2 months of preparing, Naruto had a strong range of abilities for his capacities. He previously got instant transportation down to a craftsmanship when he had the option to do it quietly. Kyuubi saw that Naruto was cheating the strategy with chakra, making the overabundance disperse in the air that came about to the noisy popping sound. Naruto explored different avenues regarding to the point that he just required enough chakra to execute the procedure. The following expertise he dominated was creation, to make any non-living items from nothing. He had a great time making new garments in different plans, so he was capable top off his uncovered storage room as far as possible, which provoked him to make a greater one since the first was excessively little. He saw that his manifestations didn't vanish in the wake of noticing it for 7 days, yet Kyuubi advised him to look out on his made garments for good measure. All things considered, he wouldn't need for his garments to vanish on him while strolling on the bustling roads of Konoha out of nowhere. Along these lines, Naruto's condo was presently a completely outfitted single-guise cushion finished with immaculate furniture that was very agreeable. He scoured the different furniture shops in Konoha under henge to retain the plans so he can copy it impeccably. His most loved was a 4-banner sovereign-size bed total with delicate pads, sheets, and cover. Even Kyuubi slobbered at snoozing such extravagance. The last expertise he dominated with his ongoing preparation program was change. Not normal for creation, which permitted him to make something from nothing. Change permitted him to transform one thing into another. He messed around with this one since he saw that he can change a living being to another living being or to a non-living item. One of his clones transformed an innocuous hare into an exceptionally enormous white tiger that pursued them around the forest, a lot to Kyuubi's entertainment. During trial and error, he saw that the change capacity was not long-lasting since the tiger went on for an hour before it turned around into an innocuous bunny who, Naruto saw, was very pompous at pursuing them around. The hare's conceit irritated Naruto such a lot of that he waved his hand at it, causing the region where it was remaining to detonate, bringing about a little cavity 3 feet in measurement and profundity. Fortunately, the hare jumped away when Naruto moved his hands, really saving it from unavoidable passing. With an enormous smile all over, he quickly began causing things to detonate around the getting a lot to the jealousy free from his clones, irritated at the steady whimpering that they need to cause things to detonate as well. He made another clone, then dispersed it, making its ongoing recollections be conveyed to the others. More blasts followed, making the clearing grow in size with bunches of felled wood for more practice on change. Naruto and Kyuubi likewise saw that he can't change or make something that he had close to zero insight into, which was a consequence of making a plastic kunai. Naruto was holding back nothing kunai except for he didn't know metal that well, so he inadvertently wound up with plastic. His ramen cups were plastic, so he is intimately acquainted with them. This made Naruto make 12 clones camouflaged as regular citizens to find out about subjects including science and metals. Kyuubi taught him to add more clones to their evening exploration to strike the non-military personnel part of the library for essential data. When he got a strong establishing on his capacities, Kyuubi encouraged Naruto to allow the clones to rehearse and find a greater amount of his capacities while he the first center more around actual preparation. His ongoing loads were currently at 50 pounds each, adding up to beats with the rest of his personal effects. His activity for a considerable length of time yielded incredible outcomes. He was currently 4 feet 0 inches, which was very tall for a 8-year-old, and is without any muscle versus fat thanks to his preparation. He wasn't strong fundamentally, yet you could undoubtedly see the shape of creating muscles and abs in the event that you look sufficiently. Regardless of the consequence of actual preparation, Naruto griped a great deal since it was eliminating his tomfoolery rehearsing his capacities. However, he was destroyed when Kyuubi let him know that his capacities would be pointless on the off chance that his foes can get him before he can do anything with it. So, Naruto zeroed in on working on his speed and strength, which brought about additional rising his chakra saves, permitting him to endure longer with his capacities. Likewise, a significant advancement is the point at which he had long last found a name to his bloodline. It was very interesting truly. One of his clones was guided into perusing a dream novel where individuals have controls over wizardry that permitted them to do things that he could do. All things considered, both he and Kyuubi understood its true capacity as added fuel for trial and error. Quickly made a bunch of clones to peruse comparable books in the library. The two were salivating at the chance of tossing fireballs, making ice assaults, calling down lightning, suffocating foes in deluges of water, and other essential capacities through the bloodline. Eventually, they chose to call Naruto's capacity chakra enchantment because of the dream books that woke him up to a greater amount of his expected capacities. It was 5 days before the beginning of the foundation that Naruto was working on making fire out of his sorcery. It was what was going on from the get-go when he incidentally made a thundering fiery blaze that practically consumed the woodland. Fortunately, he had the option to dispose of it by suspending water from a close-by stream and making it fall on the consuming trees, successfully drenching them before they could spread. Sadly for him, this act didn't be ignored. Sarutobi Hiruzen, the Sandaime Hokage, was as of now resting his fatigued body from long stretches of handling the Kage's curse administrative work. He stood up from his work area and strolled towards the window sitting above the Hokage landmark. While he was loosening up his eyes, he saw smoke ascending from the timberland behind the mountain and quickly went on alert. He realized that the south side of the mountain was uninhabited, so a fire there is a disturbing situation. He quickly called his own ANBU Nico and Inu and dispatched them to the scene to bring to him whatever caused the fire for addressing. Line break. Uninformed about the approaching guests, Naruto was in the middle of attempting to make fire from nothing. His most memorable trial permitted him to restrain how much chakra he was utilizing to fuel his creation, so he began with little blasts to try not to set a backwoods fire. He was a piece fruitful when he made a marble-sized fire drifting before him and gradually taking care of it with more chakra to build its size. Gradually, the fireball developed until it turned into similar size as his head. Smiling, he tossed the fireball with an eruption of supernatural power towards a tree, setting the storage compartment burning. Obscure to him, Nico and Inu was in the trees behind him looking at his capacities. "What on earth did that youngster do?" asked a female voice coming from the Nico. "Don't know, however anything that he did, it was cool. I saw no seals except for I detected chakra being utilized to make the jutsu." "Stand by, same story, different day," said Inu when Naruto attempted once more, this time making a fireball the size of his head and tossing it at a similar tree which crushed piece of the bark into debris. Hokage-sama saw the smoke emerging from the timberland behind the Hokage landmark and requested that we examine and to bring to him who caused it. "We saw you showing your capacities, so it is just sensible that you were the person who caused it," said Niku. "Kyuubi, how would it be advisable for me I respond?" Naruto intellectually yelled to his occupant. "There's nothing we can do, Pack. You're found in the act. Dislike we can alter their recollections or something, so it's ideal assuming you confess all and tell your Gigi about it," said Kyuubi, not flustered in that frame of mind since he previously anticipated this would occur. He simply didn't anticipate that it should happen sooner than later. However, attempting to think of a fair reason to conceal his capacities, yet he didn't concoct anything. "Okay, moreover, I trust Hokage Gigi at any rate, so perhaps he can assist me with it." He took a gander at the ANBU before him and gave them a saucy smile. "Is Gigi in his office at the present time?" he asked them. Inu laughed at the kid calling the Hokage such a nickname. "Indeed, Naruto, he is in his office at the present time. We best get moving since it's quite far to the Hokage pinnacle from here," said Nico. Naruto smiled. "Alright, Nico-chan, see you there then." At that point, with that, Naruto vanished from the clearing without a sound, which made the two ANBU drop their jaw in wonder. Naruto quietly showed up in the Hokage's office and seen that his Gigi was presently glancing through the window confronting the Hokage landmark. "Hello Gigi, you called for me?" he asked the Hokage, who was frightened at not detecting Naruto enter his office. "Naruto, how could you enter the workplace since I didn't actually detect you open the entryway?" asked the Hokage. "Moreover, what are you doing here in any case?" Naruto gave him a long look. "Indeed, you had your 2ANBU call for me while I was rehearsing in my clearing behind the Hokage landmark, so I'm here," he deadpanned. "You mean the smoke emerging from the woods was you?" the Hokage asked in interest. Naruto gestured cheerfully. "That's right. I was rehearsing with my bloodline since I found it quite a while back." "Naruto, you don't have a bloodline," said the Hokage, giving Naruto a long look. "Obviously I do," he said as though offended. To illustrate, he waved his hand towards the Hokage that caused the Hokage robes to transform into a pink rabbit outfit. "See? That is my bloodline." He smiled at seeing the strong Hokage in a rabbit outfit. The Hokage was going to say something when Inu and Nico showed up in the room, gasping, "Hokage-sama. Naruto Disa, huh?" Inu and Nico were blessed to receive a sight that would last them till the day they kicked the bucket. Before them was the Hokage wearing a pink rabbit ensemble with a sneering Naruto before him. Both tumbled to the floor, moving and giggling. "Gracious, mighty God, make it stop." Nico in the middle between episodes of chuckling while Inu wasn't fit for discourse as he moved on the floor dismissing his head. Becoming flushed in shame, Sarutobi delivered a piece of his executioner plan which caused both ANBU to freeze, effectively halting their episodes of giggling. He sought his smiling proxy grandson with a look that said, "Take care of this or there will be consequences." Grinning timidly, Naruto waved his hand again towards the Hokage to switch the change, putting his Hokage robes back to its unique state, which made the head of Konoha moan in alleviation. Naruto plunked down. "Inu, Nico, report," requested Sarutobi towards his currently formed ANBU. However, his eye jerked a piece when Inu delivered a grunt of giggling, which he promptly took cover behind a hack. "Hokage-sama, as you directed." We promptly went to the area of the smoke and found Naruto-san showing capacities that confounded both me and Nico. He was making fire from only his chakra, no seals by any means. He made fireballs from nothing and basically wrecked a tree effortlessly, from the consumes in the clearing. I would agree that it was he who caused the fire before that brought about the smoke. Inu officially detailed his discoveries. Additionally, Naruto-kun vanished when I let him know that you were in the pinnacle sitting tight for him. It wasn't the Shunshin or any speed method we knew about. He recently vanished. We quickly ran back, as should have been obvious, assuming that he truly went to you as mentioned. Completed Nico, which made the Hokage gesture. "Great work both of you. Presently leave us. I need to address Naruto-kun alone." He directed his own ANBU, who left without a word. He promptly set up a protection obstruction to ensure that they were not intruded on. He sat on his seat and took a gander at his substitute grandson, who was smiling at him. "So Naruto-kun, anything you need to educate me concerning this bloodline of yours?" Naruto gestured, since he and Kyubi previously chose to confess all as they were at that point found. "It's a boring tale, Gigi, so ensure that you possess a great deal of energy for this," said Naruto. "Try not to stress, Naruto-kun. With you, I generally set aside a few minutes," the Hokage answered with a grin, making Naruto bring it back. "Alright Gigi, everything began when I pursued from a crowd. I tricked somebody quite a while back. I coincidentally hit my head, which made me drop. That was the point at which I met Q." Naruto began his story. "Q? Kyubi, I met him when I unintentionally entered my mindscape when I dropped." "What? You met the Kyubi?" "Try not to be tricked by him, Naruto," cautioned the Hokage, since he intended to enlighten Naruto concerning his inhabitant when he moves on from the institute. This plan was clearly messed up. "You don't have anything to stress over, Gigi. As a matter of fact, he is advising me to inquire as to whether you need to converse with him, since he has a great deal of making sense of to do." "Stand by a moment, Naruto. What do you mean Kyubi needs to converse with me? How might he do that since he is stuck inside the seal?" "I figure he should clarify it for you since I don't have a clue about the details of it," said Naruto. Sarutobi was going to stop him, however it was past the point of no return. Naruto's eyes spacey than his standard blue were supplanted with red with cut like students. Good tidings, Hokage. Naruto's voice was supplanted by a profound baritone that demonstrated that Kyuubi is in charge. Kyuubi, how might you control Naruto? The seal should be intended to ensure that you can't do something like this, panted the Hokage. Kyuubi, Naruto just feigned exacerbation. Do loosen up, Hokage-sama. I can't do this without Naruto's express authorization. This is essential for the arrangement we made when we met a long time back. Made sense of Kyuubi, making himself agreeable on the seat. Bargain? What bargain? Subsequent to clearing up for the pack what happened when I went after the town and getting fixed inside him, we made an arrangement that could benefit the two of us. The arrangement is very basic since it is basically impossible for me to get away from the seal since the Shinigami made a point to integrate both our spirits. So in the event that Naruto kicks the bucket, I pass on, assuming I escape. We both bite the dust, not something I truly need to occur, expressed Kyuubi with a scowl. So you intend to say that Naruto is presently inside his psyche right now with unlimited authority over his body? Indeed, the present moment, he is on a truly agreeable seat confronting a huge screen before him that goes about as an impression of his eyes so I can see the rest of the world through him. He is snickering at you right now. Sarutobi's sweat dropped at his proxy grandson's jokes. Just the kid could find it entertaining when he is alarmed out of his brains and confronting the most grounded Bijou face to face. It's fine, so Naruto can simply take control back assuming that he needed to? That's right, he can, however he is letting me know right now to clear up everything for you. Languid whelp, snarled the fox, which made Naruto snicker harder in the mindscape. Shut up, imp, don't make me go in there and tear into you. Getting back his self-control, Sarutobi loose since he realized that Naruto couldn't allow Kyuubi to hurt him in any case. All in all, what is it that you need to tell me? In the first place, I need to let you know what happened when I went after Konoha. I didn't begin the assault, I had to go after frankly. I view that as difficult to trust Kyuubi, said Sarutobi giving the foxhead kid a doubting look. Then let me ask you this, goodness wise one, out of all the historical backdrop of Konoha, how frequently did I go after on my own freedom of thought? Well, none. My most memorable appearance in Konoha was during the fight between Uchiha Madara and Senju Hashirama. Trust me, that wasn't my doing. I was gathered by that doomed Uchiha and controlled me with his advanced Sharingan, making me assault the Shodai Hokage in the Valley of the End. That made me be fixed inside his significant other, Uzumaki Mito, the absolute first Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi no Kitsune. Before she passed on, I was moved to one more Uzumaki by the name of Kushina, which was the spouse of the Yandame Hokage, Namake's Minato. This made Naruto become stunned at the disclosure. Kyuubi, would you say you are letting me know that the Yandame Hokage fixed me inside you? Also, he was my father? For what reason didn't you tell me? Naruto snarled, briefly overseeing his body and exclaiming it boisterous without him importance, to which made the Sandaime pale. Damn it, unit, shut up briefly will you? I have a justification for why I didn't educate you from the beginning and I will make sense of it appropriately to the Hokage, so shut up and quiet down. Kyuubi snarled back, which shocked the Hokage since it hardened the conviction that Naruto can reclaim the control of his body whenever he considered it significant. Choosing to stop this from really developing before the two annihilates the pinnacle, considering the energy Naruto was delivering, a direct result of his episode of outrage. Naruto-kun, if it's not too much trouble, let Kyuubi finish his clarification. You will be informed everything, so if it's not too much trouble, let Kyuubi finish, argued Sarutobi, expecting to prevail upon his substitute grandson. Fine elderly person, however, I need to be informed everything, Naruto snarled, which made Sarutobi gesture. Naruto blue eyes quickly went to red, connoting that Kyuubi was back in charge. Damn, the pack sure is furious the present moment. Thus, where was I? Asked Kyuubi, which nearly made the Hokage palm his face in disturbance. You were letting me know that you were fixed into the Yandame's significant other, he provided supportively, making the Kyuubi gesture. Much appreciated. Let me see. Kushina was an extraordinary holder, no doubt. We have comparable discussions like what me and Naruto is doing at present, yet it was a piece quieted since the seal was very unique. In any case, during Kushina's pregnancy, the seal was debilitated since the vast majority of Kushina's power was centered around labor. In the event that I recollected when I was inside, you and the Yandame was controlling the seal to keep me inside, right? This got a gesture from Saratobi. When Naruto was conceived, you left subsequently so you didn't observe Uchiha Madara assault Kushina with the Yandame not having the option to do anything since he was involving Naruto as a safeguard. With his power, he yanked me out of the seal that made me return outside Konoha. While I was bewildered from the delivery, Madara put a strong genjutsu on me that made me go out of control. Once more, I think you definitely realize what happened a short time later. I was fixed again into Naruto, yet this time, the seal was all the more remarkable and more complicated because of the Shinigami's obstruction. The seal tied Naruto and my spirit together to shape a bond. I can do nothing to Naruto without his express condition and he can utilize my chakra freely. Nonetheless, my chakra adversely affects people because of contrariness. Utilizing a lot of my power before he is prepared will make him go wild. I see, a ton of things questions became visible with your clarification. Presently let me know this bargain that you made with Naruto-kun. The arrangement is straightforward. By giving me admittance to the rest of the world through his detects, I will permit him safe command over my chakra, controlling it from within so he won't go crazy and restricting it to what he can deal with. However, I question he would require it considering the capacities he have in view of his bloodline. In any case, the arrangement permits me to see, feel, hear, and smell the rest of the world through Naruto, and thus, I will show him what I know so he will end up being a considerable shinobi later on. Fascinating, the two players benefit similarly from the arrangement to the vast majority of their capacities. Presently tell me, from Naruto-kun's explosion prior, why you didn't enlighten him concerning his folks, he asked inquisitively, needing to know the evil spirit's explanation with regards to this issue. Basic, Naruto wasn't prepared to manage it yet. Shut up Naruto, let me finish. In any case, on the off chance that I educate him regarding his folks a long time back, he will make certain to yell or exclaim it unnecessarily since he wasn't intellectually and genuinely prepared in those days. From what I encountered from Kushina, I comprehend that the Yandame made a ton of foes, particularly Iwa and Kumo. In the event that they figure out through their covert operatives or bits of gossip that the child of the Yandame is alive, then Naruto would be overwhelmed with death endeavors. I can undoubtedly recuperate his wounds, however even my powers can't safeguard him from death. I see, it is like my purpose is behind concealing things from you Naruto-kun. I made a regulation after the fixing, a S-class secret that outcomes in death in the event that not followed. That everybody isn't permitted to make reference to that you are the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi to the more youthful age to allow you an opportunity to make companions. I realized the old age could never view at you as an ordinary resident of Konoha, so I made that regulation to guarantee that the more youthful age will give you an opportunity to make obligations of kinship and trust, as an additional protection to guarantee your well-being. I kept the data with respect to your parentage to safeguard you from your dad and mom's foes. The room was quiet as Naruto, who was presently in his mindscape, processed the data uncovered to him. He hesitantly concurred with Kyuubi and his Gigi's thinking and staying quiet about it, on the off chance that his brain wasn't as expected prepared through the exploration, studies, and contemplation that he encountered for the beyond 2 years. Then he was certain that he wouldn't have the fundamental development to maintain the mystery for his well-being. He assumed command over his body, which was very clear when his eyes turned around to its shade of blue. He took in a full breath to quiet himself down. He checked out at his substitute granddad happily. No perspiration Gigi, gratitude for making me get it. You and Kyuubi were correct. I could never have had the option to stay quiet about it and that would have undermined my well-being, so thank you once more. Expressed Naruto in a delicate voice. However, the Hokage had the option to recognize the earnestness behind the blonde's statement. No issue Naruto-kun, I generally have your best goal on a basic level regardless of the way that a portion of my choices have harmed you previously. Presently, kindly let me know how you made me the fool before my ANBU guardians. He expressed this with a shine in his eyes that made Naruto and Kyuubi swallow. It's my bloodline, stammered Naruto while reviling his inhabitants since the fox returned into the seal to safeguard itself from the approaching cross-examination. Swindler, he snarled to his occupant. All its foxes for himself, unit. best of luck, expressed Kyubi in a quiet voice prior to removing the psychological connection between the two. The quietness in his mindscape let him know that the fox was somewhere inside his brain, distant right now. He reviled some more. Ignorant about the inside discourse happening between the bijou and its compartment, Sarutobi stuck Naruto to his seat with a piercing glare. I know it's a bloodline, Naruto-kun, you made that reality flawlessly, clear when you transformed my robes into a pink bunny. What I need to know is the manner by which you got it done? He asked in a foreboding tone that made Blonde shudder in dread. Gigi, have you known about wizardry? Asked an exceptionally apprehensive Naruto. Sarutobi viewed at the kid as though he was insane, however addressed no different either way. No, Naruto-kun, there is no such thing as enchantment. Sorcery is in the domain of imagination, not reality, expressed the Hokage as though conversing with a youngster. Indeed, the most ideal way to make sense of is to begin toward the start. Naruto made sense of the episode where he found how to magically transport in his conversation with Kyubi in regards to the extraordinary expansion to his standard chakra. He made sense of that. Kyubi hypothesized that his chakra permitted him to really twist reality to his will, permitting him to do accomplishments that conventional shinobi doesn't. He framed the evening research in the Konoha library, which astonished the Hokage since there were no reports of interruptions for the beyond 2 years. The blonde likewise portrayed how he had the option to call a book all of a sudden, notwithstanding the way that he didn't have the foggiest idea where it was. Subsequent to finding the way into his capacity because of Kyubi, he began a preparation program with his occupant's direction to find the degree of his bloodline and to find better approaches to outfit it. Finally, Naruto clarified for the Hokage that his capacity is by all accounts like how performers, wizards, mages, and alchemists practice their capacities in dream books, so he chose to imitate them. He was very energized, telling the Hokage the name of his special bloodline limit, chakra wizardry, which made the old chief sweat drop at the silly choice. Sarutobi began focusing on his sanctuary's irritation, feeling a headache coming because of Naruto's clarification of his capacities, which he viewed as very unthinkable. So let me get this straight, Naruto, you can magically transport any place for however long you've been there previously, you can move objects utilizing your brain alone, you can make things from nothing, you can change things into living things, similar to the white tiger you made in the woodland that pursued you around. Lastly, you can perform basic assaults without the need of seals. Goodness, not to fail to remember that Kyubi showed you Kage Bunshin since he previously gained it from Mito-sama. Did I forget about anything? Naruto shook his head in negative. You hit the nail on the head, Gigi. However, I'm very certain that there is something else to my bloodline since Kyubi let me know that my breaking point is my own creative mind, said Naruto, affirming all that the Hokage recorded down as a halfway rundown of his capacities. Said Hokage, nonetheless, was peering toward Naruto with a look that obviously said that he didn't really accept that the kid was able to do everything. You don't completely accept that, me, isn't that right? He asked with an eyebrow raised. The Hokage shook his head. I find it fantastic, Naruto-kun. Powers like that don't exist. New bloodlines don't simply show up out of nowhere, expressed Sarutobi in a serious voice. Naruto said nothing, however gave the Hokage a smile that sent shudders down his old spine. Are you certain, Gigi? He asked while scouring his hands together in expectation. Regardless of his better judgment, Sarutobi replied such that bound him. Indeed, I'm certain that you're simply making things up. Naruto promptly magically transported from the seat to show up before the entryway, ensuring that the old Hokage will not have the option to get away from his exhibition. Alright, Gigi, since you put it that way, then I must choose between limited options. I need to show the capacities of Konoha's wizard in real life, he proclaimed in a noisy voice, waving one hand over to the window, transforming it into prison bars to stop any types of break. Social event chakra for his stupendous presentation. He pictured what he needed to happen, then delivered every last bit of it all at once. The Hokage's robes transformed into the pink rabbit outfit, this time with rainbow designs on it. The work area transformed into a white tiger with dark stripes, snarling at the elderly person. The administrative matters that the Hokage marked changed into various types of birds, fluttering around the room, ruining thing. The Hokage's seat turned into a chief's seat, and as an additional impact, he transformed the paperweight into a voluptuous blonde with curiously large resources, giving the elderly person a back rub that made him become flushed. Lastly, Naruto waved his hand all around the room, transforming the Hokage office into a youngster's jungle gym. Naruto then went to the staggered and becoming flushed Hokage. So, what do you suppose, Gigi? Persuaded, as an additional impact, he invoked 5 wads of fire circling around his body, looking compromising. Sarutobi was shocked at the extraordinary change to his office. He erupted his chakra, then delivered it in a wave to disturb the deception. Tragically for him, everything was genuinely, so nothing occurred. What the? These are genuine, faltered Sarutobi. Naruto smiled. That is correct, Gigi. These are genuine, so do you trust me now? Sarutobi drooped back to his seat, subtly partaking in the ministrations of the blonde young lady behind him. Fine, you win, Naruto-kun. I recognize the presence of your chakra sorcery. Presently kindly turn my office back to how it was previously, he mentioned in a crushed, yet wispy voice, since the back rub was doing ponders for his throbbing muscles. Naruto gestured and waved his hand around the room, switching the changes. This made the Hokage moan since he was partaking in the seat and the back rub. So Gigi, what is your take? Asked Naruto, who sat himself back on the seat with a huge smile all over. Sarutobi gave Naruto a speculative look. What are your arrangements, Naruto-kun? You'll go to the foundation in 5 days, asked the Hokage. You're not considering stopping, right? Naruto shook his head in negative while giving the elderly person a wary look. No. I actually plan to be a ninja, so I'll go to class. You as of now have my permission papers, right? I was anticipating visiting you daily before classes begin to settle things, answered Naruto. This got a gesture from Sarutobi before cautiously leafing through the heaps of desk work directly in front of him prior to hauling one out and giving it to the blonde, who joyfully acknowledged the report. That is your permission structure to the Shinobi Foundation. You simply have to hand that to your educator when you go to your top notch. It's in room 201. You can't miss it, he trained. Naruto was going to leave the room, yet Sarutobi halted him with a lifted hand. Before you leave, there are not many things we really want to examine concerning your bloodline. As commanded in the Konoha sanction, those having a bloodline are consequently qualified for faction head status. Please accept my apologies to say that it is expected that I register your capacities. This made Naruto scowl. He had no aims to uncover his capacities, yet. Well, might you at any point give me a couple of days to thoroughly consider things, Gigi? I need to examine it with Kyubi first, since I don't know that I have dominated my capacities in general yet. I mean, it won't be really smart to uncover my bloodline when we don't have a deep understanding of it, right? Asked Naruto to the Hokage, who gestured and confirmed since it was really smart. That is smart, Naruto-kun. There is no rush, since just I know the degree of your bloodline, and I'm certain Nico and Inu won't be enlightening anybody without my express consent. Simply pursue. Sure, you let me know your choice so I can set up the vital desk work. In regards to your tribe head status, you are as yet a minor until you move on from the foundation, so there is no rush there. Expressed the Hokage. Family heads expect you to be of Chunin rank, so that is still years away. Naruto gestured. Sure thing, Gigi. All things considered, is there something else before I leave? I truly need to return to preparing, since I will not have sufficient time when I go to the foundation 1 week from now, he asked, tingling to return to the clearing since he expected to sharpen his command over the components with Kyubi. Sarutobi looked fearful in regards to his solicitation, however he was unable to reject that he really wanted it. No. He needed it. Could you at any point change my seat back? That is to say, it's truly agreeable, said the matured pioneer with as much pride as possible. However, there was a slight whimper to his voice. Naruto recently snickered and waved his hand, changing the Hokage's wooden seat once more into a supervisor's seat. However, he added one more component that he read in one of the lists when he visited the furniture shop in the shippers region. There, the kid said joyfully, in case it isn't already obvious, I added a back rub component to the seat, so all you want to do is to apply chakra to it, then it will give you a decent back rub. By Gigi, he completed happily prior to magically transporting out of the room, leaving an extremely cheerful Hokage behind, who later glared when he remembered something. Damn, I ought to have requested that he bring the young lady back. Anyway, you can't have all that I surmise, He pondered while partaking in the seat's vibration as it released the throbbing muscles on his back. Life recently got intriguing for him. Naruto promptly drew in a discussion with Kyuubi after showing up in his clearing. So what do you think, Q? Naruto asked his inhabitant. With what? The group head thing? Kyuubi asked since he was paying attention to his holder's discussion with his proxy granddad. Not actually, I'm not that keen on the family head status since I'm still too youthful to even consider contemplating that. Nonetheless, I'm more worried about uncovering my bloodline to everybody. I don't know how individuals will take it, all things considered. I'm not exactly that famous in the town, so letting them know I have these capacities probably won't be generally welcomed by general society, expressed Naruto with a dislike his face. There's no way around that unit. Perhaps we can make an arrangement with the Hokage to stay quiet about it until you move on from the institute, said Kyuubi, discussing foundation. How are you wanting to manage your preparation plan? Since you will burn through the vast majority of the day in school, you will have opportunity and energy to investigate your capacities. I'm not entirely certain, Q. I'm truly energized in going to the foundation, however, I likewise need to investigate my capacities more. I'm almost certain that what I can do now is just a glimpse of something larger, as it were. Valid, frankly, I previously concocted an arrangement, yet it could deplete you for a couple of hours before you're okay with preparing once more. What would you have in care? Asked Naruto, keen on what the bijou got coming up for him. Since the 2 years, Naruto acquired a sound regard of the Kyuubi's assistance and put extraordinary torments to pay attention to its recommendation. We can constantly send a built-up Kage Bunshin to the foundation, however this time, you'll add a piece of my chakra into it to ensure it will not get dissipated effectively. Furthermore, I can show you what you'll realize in the institute in any case so you're about to go to for graduating, since it's basically impossible for you to join the shinobi positions without their suggestion. That is really smart, Q. However, wouldn't you say we ought to run this by Gigi? He ought to know, right? You figured he couldn't figure it out? Assuming I know that elderly person well overall, and I do, he will watch out for you since your capacities are very one of a kind. Made sense of the fox. You truly do have a point there, so we should stay with that plan then, pronounced Naruto prior to making clones to rehearse a greater amount of his chakra wizardry. In spite of their unique arrangement, Naruto chose to go to the main day of the foundation all alone as opposed to sending a clone in his place. He got up from the get-go the principal day of the foundation and made a clone to make breakfast prior to stirring things up around town. He didn't even try to wear anything extravagant since it is truly useless to dazzle his educators. He wore a straightforward dull blue shirt and dark freight pants. He didn't waste any time trying to bring anything more since he can make anything on the off chance that he want to. After a delectable breakfast of eggs, bread, and milk, since Kyuubi pounded it down his throat that eating just ramen was certainly not a smart thought from the start, Naruto wouldn't follow orders, however promptly relented when the fox let him know that he was short since he didn't get an adequate number of supplements to advance development. His chakra can unfortunately do a limited amount, a lot to help him all things considered. Seeing that he actually have an hour prior to the institute begins, Naruto chose to go there right on time so he can pick great seats. As well as noticing his colleagues before classes begins, he magically transported out of his loft to a rear entryway a street or two away from school and strolled the remainder of the way. He showed up at the Shinobi Foundation and saw that nobody was there. He speculated that he was too soon. He chose to go quest for his assigned homeroom and endure it. It didn't take him long to find room 201 since it was the main room on the second floor of the structure. He made the way for uncover a shinobi on the work area perusing a few reports. The shinobi was a Chunin deciding from his vest. His hairstyle made him seem to be a dolphin, yet the scar all over made him look cool. Good day, I'm hanging around for the primary day of class, welcomed Naruto as he gave his induction structure to the ninja. The Chunin grinned at how early the kid was. Early? Would you confirm or deny that you are? Allow me to see. Uzumaki Naruto. First time in the foundation. Great, I am Umino Irika. I will be your educator until the end of the 5 years you will go to the foundation, so you ought to begin calling me Irika Master from here onward. How about you snatch a seat and unwind? Classes won't begin for an hour actually, said the now presented Irika. Naruto gestured and checked out the room. He chose to sit at the extremely top so he can see those approaching in. It didn't take long for the new understudies to show up, individually entering the homeroom picking seats for their own. The majority of them were very normal. Not exactly that intriguing, aren't they? Naruto told his occupant. Man, what do you anticipate? They're actually kids, give them a couple of years to change, assuming they change, that is, expressed Kyubi with a drained yawn. Languid once more? Lethargic fox, expressed Naruto in entertainment. This made the fox snarl in aggravation. I didn't rest a lot of last evening, damn it, I was in the middle of sifting through the recollections from your clones. They read a couple of fascinating books that we can give a shot with your bloodline on the off chance that it works, on the off chance that not we can imagine something different? Said Kyubi, delivering one more boisterous yawn that reverberated all through the mindscape. This made Naruto sweat drop. So what did you find out? Anything fascinating? Asked Naruto, energized at what his clones read in the library. He didn't get the memory direct on the grounds that Kyubi ensured that the flood of data is arranged by him first prior to delivering to Naruto's own. This strategy is very valuable, particularly while dispersing huge number of clones that could cause a difficult headache or put his compartment in a state of extreme lethargy. Not a lot to be straightforward, however, a portion of the things they read gave me a few thoughts that you can integrate into your battling style. There was this one clone who read a manga about a professional killer with a firearm. Perhaps we can figure out that so you can have your own, yet rather than shots, we can change it to use chakra, all things considered, said Kyubi, who was very keen on the reach weapon. Another clone read a book about a youngster utilizing spells to do stuff that isn't ordinarily imaginable, yet the manner in which the fundamental person got things done with an enchanted stick could be very valuable. However, yours could be better since you needn't bother with a mode for your capacities to work. Here, let me send you the data so you can look at it all alone. I really want to rest. Naruto held up as the data separated through his cerebrum. Frankly, it was a considerable amount, so he was grateful for Kyubi to give it to him in pieces and pieces as opposed to getting them across the board. Go. On the off chance that he did, then he didn't know whether his mind could endure the data overburden. Naruto professed to be snoozing as he figured out the data, so he will not be upset. It appears to be that his clones extended their perusing collection to incorporate comics called manga. The one with the firearm came from a manga called Dark Feline, a strong professional killer who conveyed an indestructible weapon and have flawless point. The other one was a dream book called Harry Potter. It was very fascinating, most definitely, since the capacities exhibited by the characters were like his own. However, the ones in the book need to utilize something many refer to as a wand just to do the things they do. It was very strange actually, yet spells was extremely intriguing. However, he could forego the words just to make them work. One more intriguing manga that his clone read was about individuals who used their life energy to do astonishing accomplishments. From its vibes, individuals called trackers use Nen to expand their bodies or to make wanted impacts, like making binds associated with their bodies to assault and shield. He tracked down this confining, however, building up their bodies with Nen to speed up and strength was something to investigate. He set his hand inside his pocket and made a piece of paper and a pen to try not to show his capacities to his schoolmates. He brought it out and began composing so he could integrate it into his preparation. Things to test. Attempt to make a weapon, or perhaps two, and track down ways of utilizing chakra shots rather than normal ones. Have a go at making spells if conceivable. Use chakra wizardry to upgrade his body for going after and guard. Naruto put the tip of his pen into his mouth and embraced an insightful articulation, concocting groundbreaking plans to test. He saw that the room was practically full, so he chose to focus for the present. He collapsed the paper and put it back into his pocket alongside his made pen. He wanted to go over it with Kyubi later to check whether it was conceivable. School finished that evening and Naruto could be more joyful. He anticipated that a ton of things should occur in school, as Iruka master showing them shinobi stuff, yet he could accept how the educator rambled endlessly about history and droning. It was chafing. He chose there and afterward to send a supported Kage Bunshin as opposed to doing it all alone. He would prefer to invest energy preparing than sitting for 8 hours being exhausted. His irritation was gotten by his occupant. "What got you feeling foul?" asked Kyubi in a sluggish voice. It appears to be that the languid fox just awakened. This made Naruto's eye jerk. Where have you been, Baka Fox? I was attempting to converse with you for the entire day, spat Naruto to him while tossing one more fireball at a tree, searing the bark. Kyuubi just shrugged, which made Naruto's eye jerk once more and one more fireball to fly from his outstretched hand. I was snoozing, nitwit. How about you have a go at remaining up the entire evening figuring out data constant? In any case, I shut of the association between us since I truly need to rest, so stop your reviling and let me know what got your fighters in a wind. You'd revile as well in the event that you need to endure 8 hours going to an exhausting class with an exhausting educator with a perpetual exhausting discourse of exhausting Konoha history, Naruto spat, interspersing his disturbance by tossing a fireball on an honest tree each time he said exhausting. All things considered, fortunately I'm not the one going to class currently, am I? He, said exceptionally priggish Bijou. I truly disdain you, you know that right? Deadpanned a furious Naruto. I do, came the conceited answer.